The owner of a failing bar kills her wealthy twin sister in an act of vengeance, faking her own suicide and taking her sister's place in the 1964 crime thriller Dead Ringer. And that's the movie we're dusting off this week on Movie Bones.
About that baby of yours, the one who died so young. Why are you so interested? He could have been mine. What was his name? How old was he when he died? Less than a year. How many months? Edith, I won't be cross-examined like this. How many months? There never was a baby. That's what you want to hear, isn't it? That's what I had to hear. From you. Oh, Edie, I wanted to marry Frank so desperately. But you never loved him. You never made him happy. You ruined both our lives. I'll make it up to you. Remember when we were children, you were the one person I really loved. Loved! You never loved anybody but yourself. You can get rid of this place. You can get rid of it and take a trip to outer space. Money's no object. How much would you like? You haven't got that much. Now sit down. This is why I told you to come here.
That's Bette Davis there playing opposite herself, basically, her movie twin, and killing her for what basically amounts to, I guess, is vengeance over her twin's duplicity in stealing the man she loved and lying to everyone about, the child she never had, really. And in thinking about this is the second time I've seen the movie, and in thinking about the whole setup there, I'm not quite sure how that lie was supposed to work because based on what we know, it's her husband must have realized it was a lie. And he married her kind of anyway. It's the whole lie supposedly was to get him to marry her. And yet it's in order for that to work, the way the timeline goes, but you would have had to had the baby or be showing the baby. You'd have to be showing in the womb. Somehow it's and yet that wouldn't have happened if it was a lie. How do you pull that off? How did that work? Those are some of the questions that came to mind. The thing I have about this movie that I love the most, and I'll say it right out of the gate, is I do love the concept here. That you have these twins, that you have one of them ends up killing the other one over a past conflict in this case. And she's supposed to be this good woman who, kills out of desperation or kills out of anger, impulse, and then becomes her sister to such a degree that she ends up taking on the blame for a crime that isn't actually the one that we all see in the beginning, in the opening. And I'm that's a brilliant concept. And, and except for there are certain problems there. I love the concept. And I even love and my other favorite part is Caller Malden here. But that's where I want to start with, Ryan. So I know you're going to agree with me because I've seen your review of it. But where do you want to start off with this?
I have been thinking about this movie on and off. When I watched the movie outright, I thought, you know what, there's a lot of great here. But as I've been thinking about it, I'm there are some problems with this movie that I have that I wasn't really thinking about in the moment. But again, as I stewed on it, I was there's good in here. I want to make that clear. I think there's a lot of good in here. The concept, like you said, the concept of the story itself is good, in my opinion. I look at it, I put it in the same vein. And now this is the most popular story that that people trigger their mind back to whenever, you think about it, especially people that have consumed this particular set of media. But I look at this as I put it in the same kind of realm as a One Bad Day type of movie or type of story. What does it take to push someone over the edge? It takes just one bad day. Of course, I kind of modified that here in my notes a little bit where I said it's one bad life. Edith is the type of character who is she has done everything that she's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. She has been honest. She has been fair. She has been a hard worker. And she hangs almost in the shadow of what her sister's done. And her sister has not done those things. Her sister has been dishonest. This sister has been unfair. her sister has been cruel, and it's like she's been rewarded for everything that she's done, and Edith has not been rewarded. In fact, she's at her true love's funeral, who this is a person she didn't get to marry. One more bad thing happens in that same exact day, which is, she finds out that she's going to lose her place of, her business.
Yeah.
And it's just like everything just kind of keeps going south. The only good light that she has in her life is her boyfriend.
Yeah.
I think their boyfriend and girlfriend. Like it's weird because like they clearly love each other. There's something, they're a situationship. Everything besides that has pushed her over to the edge, and she finally just snaps and she does this evil thing. And then like the story is like why you shouldn't do that. Although the whole entire time, like, I hate to say it, but you're going, nah, her sister deserved it.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I go so far as to say she deserved it. So she's clearly bad, and she's clearly so materialistic she's willing to kill. You could say that Edith is too overwhelmed with everything she's had to put up with over the years to see her way clearly, at least see an opportunity out where she doesn't have to kill someone. It's like, there is an opportunity out here. It's like your sister, for however she got her gains, she's offering you the means to get out of at least some of the troubles that you're experiencing. Even if you just want to say turnabout is fair play. Here's what because in my mind, I'm rolling through the possibilities. It's like, even if you have, your sister has used you over the years, she's treated you like an object. Here's a chance, at least, if you are that angry and in return, it's like, even from a cynical perspective, here's a chance for you to use her. You'll take the money, you'll do the things, you'll get yourself out of debt, and you'll get yourself as far away as you can from her. That would be, at least, it's like, this never entered into her brain, even on a cynical level. And I say, a movie wants you to have it that she's so overwhelmed with this. But if she's that also, and here's the other thing. This is where the movie plays against itself, I think, in a way that kind of is undermining itself with Edith and Jim. It's like Jim sees in her something the audience never sees. And I needed that, which is he says she's a good woman. And all we see from the beginning of Edith is she's consumed by her bitterness. There's nothing but bitterness there. So it's like, if this is a downfall arc, I need to see something that isn't just the bitterness. Yeah, the bitterness has to be under there. It has to be, you have to see flashes of it in the beginning. But I also have to see the good if this is going to be a downfall. And it is a downfall. As it is, I have nothing to latch on to want her to fight the temptation. You know what I mean?
So I agree with you, actually. You only get the idea of it from really two scenes. The butler knows that she is not her sister. Like she's the twin. She's Edith. He knows that from the very beginning. And the very, very end, again, they have that conversation. There's a conversation, and she says, "You've known the whole time, haven't you?" And he says, "Yes." And it's all like, what's different? Yes, he mentions that he's worked for that family for over 40 years.
Yeah.
There's that, you get to know people, you get to know their mannerisms. And yes, if you're around twins, you can kind of get to figure out okay, this one's this one and this one's this one, even if they're exactly identical twins.
Yeah.
Show me her suddenly being kind to everybody, which it's not that she isn't kind to them, but we get this really through more exposition. And I understand why we get it through more exposition, because one twin is dead before 20 minutes of the movie has passed. We learn that her sister's cruel, her sister's vapid. We learn all of these things about her, but we don't really see her, being cruel to her.
No.
To her people around her. But we should have. We should have seen that. And we should have, and the juxtaposition is when she takes her place, should be all of a sudden she's turned a new leaf, and you have them questioning, why are you being so nice to us now?
Yeah.
And have her make up lies. Oh, I was going through grief, blah, 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 blah. It would have made everything that happens at the end a lot more, tragic, if you ask me, because they all love her. Or they would have all loved her.
It would have. But what you get instead drives the point home even more. And when it comes to Edith, is that whenever you see her character, everything she says and does and acts in place of what you said is you get all this nervousness and yes, and you would have some of that. You killed your sister. Yeah, you've killed her. You've killed a woman. If you're good, that's still going to traumatize you. You'd feel guilt. But everything she does is without any variation, it screams, "I'm guilty." Everyone around her would be. It's with someone like that. especially considering how sloppily she does the murder too. I'm thinking I've seen enough procedurals to know that it's like there's so much sloppiness here. It's like, how lazy do the cops have to be not to see her boyfriend is a cop who worked homicide. And
Yeah.
there's so much suspicion. Even he has a little niggling one moment of like, what's going on up there kind of a thing when she's trying to play both her and her sister, even after she's dead for that. It's like, so he's trying to do that thing. And it's like, what? But there's no curiosity and follow up anywhere in anyone. And it's like the only person who knows that she's not her is the butler initially. And then the would-be boyfriend later. And it's like, yeah, they saw through it, but so would so many other people. And it's like, so that was the other thing that was kind of in another movie that was more well done. You could say that I might not notice those things, although they do kind of draw a pretty big, it feels like a big bright red line. I would be hard not to notice.
It becomes very clear that nobody liked her sister. And I say this even to the tune of her own husband not liking her, which, unless I was mistaken, there's a whole scene in this movie. He loved her so much. He loved her. He loved Edith. It's so much to give her a good chunk of money.
Yeah, in his will.
Yeah. And like, I'm sitting there going, dude, guys,
I know.
I want to make this very clear. With what I'm about to say, I'm not saying that this is the correct thing to do. I am speaking about the time period in which they live in. It would have been nothing for this dude when he realized that, the other sister was not pregnant, lost the baby, whatever happened.
Yeah.
Like, we have seen enough movies to see people be like, okay, well, you're gone. And just, you bounce them right up out. He only married her thinking that they were going to have like a child together. And then that didn't happen. Like, no one would have been none the wiser. No one would have cared in that world, in that time period, if he's like, oh, okay, well, you lost the baby. See you later.
Yeah, just bounce,
and then
like you said,
married
bounce.
the sister that he loved.
Yeah.
Like, if you love somebody, like, and okay, I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but I am saying this. If you love someone and have continued to love them up until your own dying breath, and you have the ability to do so, which he did have the ability to do so, it is kind of surprising that he never once decided to divorce his wife and marry his true love, supposedly his true love. Although you can't really say it's like if you loved her, dude, you wouldn't have ever hooked up with her sister in the first place, even if they are identical.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing. But again, like, he leaves her $50,000. They bring it up and they just kind of move past it. She doesn't even really have much of a reaction to it.
No, she doesn't really. And it feels so much like they added that tidbit there to add some kind of a plot kind of complication, but it sacrifices the dead husband's character. There are decisions being made here that seem to be made more for what can we do to make this more of a compelling plot at this point than it is to how do we work with these characters as consistent entities in ways that drive the plot forward. It feels like the cart before the horse in some ways,
Yeah.
That goes back to the idea the concept itself is really cool, but you got to make the characters consistent first in ways that fit into that and drive the drama. It undermines so much from your main character on down.
At times it misses the mark where it doesn't need to miss the mark. It takes a good premise. I think a great potential story, and just kind of, it muddies it up a little bit more than you would expect it to.
You could have made this. Have you ever watched Columbo with Peter Falk?
I mean, I've never watched it, but I know what it is.
Okay. Or any other kind of like Poirot or, TV show where it's like a recurring mystery kind of thing. You could have done this from the perspective of the investigators and had a good mystery movie on your hands.
See, I would have absolutely loved that. I thought maybe at one point that would be like what we were going to do, because I thought we would focus more on the investigators in this movie, but we didn't.
And that's fine in a way,
Yeah.
But yeah.
You didn't really have much of an investigator. You had Jim that was just kind of doing things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think he ever suspected it at any point. No, he never did. He never suspected it was her. And
never
even
did.
when she confessed to him, now, in fairness, how she confessed to him was like, it's kind of like spur of the moment. And of course, like his feelings for her, what he thought to be his dead girlfriend, but his feelings for her kind of took over there. And it's like, how dare you? How cruel. Like, that is so cruel. That's a horrible thing to do,
Yeah.
is to, pretend like you're her. And then I don't know, did he ever, like, I don't think even at the end of the movie, I think maybe there's a little bit of him that's like, this probably.
I think he doubts a little bit. And that's what makes his character more interesting in so many ways. For
Yeah.
being as unexamined as it is still more like I'm more intrigued by his character than by Edith. Is like he still has that doubt, that lingering doubt, confronting her one last time, and she puts it to bed or tries to by adopting her sister's identity completely. Well, that's why I would love to have seen the movie from his perspective. He should almost be the main character in a way. That would have been interesting.
I've been trying to stay away from the whole let's rewrite the movie thing that we, kind of do from time to time, but
well, it invites it. It does invite it, though. That's the thing.
Basically, to do that, you have to pull a bit of a Prestige, where you don't actually know that there's been a twin the whole entire time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm overthinking it at this point. Jim would have been a great focal point. I think there is a possibility this movie has been remade. It wouldn't surprise me if it ever gets remade. Like, it just, like, this is one of those, like, kind of situations where it's like, I could totally see this happening again in the future.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Although I think now the only reason why it probably wouldn't happen right away is because a lot of people are probably thinking, well, The Prestige did this.
We both commented on the score, although I think we have different thoughts on it.
I liked it. Like, I didn't like it. I'm not saying at the very beginning, gosh, dude, that.
It does come out pretty bold in your face. It smacks you as hard as Betty Davis smacks herself.
Yeah, it was like I had to turn down my TV. Again, it wasn't even that loud. I was just like, geez, like I don't know if that's the fault of the the film, or if that's just more of the the copy they have on Tubi.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, I thought the score was fine. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing in the world, obviously, but
I did think it was a little intrusive for me. I mean, there were some things like even opening drawers seemed to get the full orchestra treatment, and it's like, it's like okay, whatever, okay. And there were some between that, and there was one moment actually. This goes to the sound design too. They had a moment where Peter Lawford, who plays he's the one who figures it out. He was the one who helped kill the husband. Yeah, and it's like he leans over to kiss Betty Davis. And right at that moment, it's supposed to be a dog growling. But the way it starts out, it sounds for all the world like a whoopie-cushion fart. right at the moment when he kisses her. It couldn't have been any more perfectly timed for humor. And and then it turns into a growl. But it's like that first initial part, that's a fart, dude. I am so listening to that. That's a fart. I can't think of anything else to really say. The substance of the film is overwhelmed by what we've been talking about. And like you said, we have this big conflict between us over, and that really does kind of tie up what the film is for us. It's this tension between the potential and the execution. I guess verdict time, man. Am I going to have to adjust your verdict?
Yeah, I'm going to adjust my verdict just a little bit. But yeah, I'll go ahead and give my verdict if you want me to.
Sure, go ahead. You start.
There are some things about this movie that I really did like. For starters, I actually thought the way they did the practical effects with, the twins, I have to applaud that. It kind of looks like what you would see in CGI today.
Yeah.
You'd have like that person right there. So like, I got to give my props to that, just because like I said, I stewed on the movie too much and I kept thinking about it, but not in a good way. That's the problem. Like, if we had recorded right then and there, I would have said, oh, this is Fortune and Glory, because this is the type of story that I do chew up. I like these, murder mystery types of stories. It wasn't much of a mystery, but I like these murder types of stories. But it's just like, there was just a couple things that as I was watching the movie that I was like, oh, this is getting on my nerves. Like, after I watched the movie and I was thinking about it, the 50K just kept on, like, that really did get to me. I was like, that should have been something that was factored into this whole entire thing when they're in the writing room. Like, why would he not reach out to her if he still loved her, or at least felt bad about the situation?
Yeah.
They said they had not seen each other for like, what, 20 something years?
Yes. 20 years.
So it's like, I get not liking your sister, but I feel like he should have like figured out a way to contact her.
Yeah.
Like, if he felt like that kind of guilt over it.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for me.
It is.
Like you said before, another big thing for me as well is the movie doesn't really portray, them as different in the way it's like, what makes her different than everybody else? Or that, what makes her different in a way that shows and doesn't tell. Because
Yeah.
that's what happens. It's like Jim says, oh, this is who she is, but we don't really ever see it. It's just we're being told it constantly. The only real thing in the movie that does happen is like the dog likes her. And it's nothing that really she even does. It's just the dog likes her.
Jeff's dog likes her. So you're supposed to glean from that the goodness in her. It's like, well, no, I want to see real reasons, material. It doesn't have to be like shove me in my face in it, but show small things. You could show her being nice to the staff, like going out of the way for people to help her own staff that her sister wouldn't have done. Like you said, that part is an easy fix. It feels like,
But there's a whole other part of this movie that I really enjoyed, or I think I would have enjoyed, because we would have got like, if you want to do the exposition route, you had the perfect opportunity, but they didn't take it. And that's the trial. And I thought that would have been a great moment for her to start pleading her case. Like, no, I'm my sister. And then this is what I did. That would have been such a fun way to do this. But we basically get a montage of the trial.
Yes, which is such a common trope to use a montage in those moments.
I thought the acting was fine. I did like the music. I can understand what you're saying with some of the sounds and everything, but the music, I liked the music for the most part. I liked the story itself. I had originally put this in Fortune and Glory, but again, this is not just this conversation. This is like me talking. We're falling down here. But I think I'm going to give it belongs in a museum, because there's some things about this that I'm like, okay, this is serviceable. This is something to watch if you want to sit down and watch something like this, especially with the camera tricks, and maybe if it wasn't for the camera tricks, I might be lower than that. But I think everything else, I do think with the camera tricks and this sort of stuff, I'm going to give it belongs to the museum.
Okay.
Actually.
I've gotten to feel like where you go with some of these movies and how much you like them. Sometimes I understand that you like certain things more than I do. And I kind of said he could go as high as a trust me. I was kind of blown away that you went with Fortune and Glory, but hey, it's like actually my expectation was, more spot on in some ways than I thought it was. But yeah, here I'm with you. It's like for me, it all came down to not seeing the goodness of her, and then of course the aspects of the sloppiness of the murder and having to be actually caught up with when you see that the investigation is not finding her at all. It's almost like the plot considerations of her the plot can't let her get caught for this because it has this big twist coming at the end. She's going to get framed for her sister's murder. And we have to make sure that the police stay dumb about the initial murder so that we can do the substitution at the end. It's like, well, that's just kind of lazy. This has plot-driven errors all over it. It's like where the plot's driving the story instead of the characters. And the characters need to, if you're focusing on her and this isn't a procedural like Columbo or one of those things where you could have gone that direction. But if this isn't a procedural, then you really do have to focus more on the character-driven aspects of it more. And I'll even say that even if you're going for an actual true mystery, where it's the cop's perspective of trying to figure things out, take a cue from Knives Out with that series of movies. Rian Johnson does focus on the characters just as much as the mystery. It is a mystery first, but he still does the character thing. You could still get it to work, even with as much focus on character in a movie that's more mystery motivated, but they didn't go that route. Someone totally should do a remake of this and make it better, because there's room for it here. This is bad dates for me. But anyway, at this time, Ryan and I like to remind our listeners out there that if you're having a good time with Ryan and me dusting off these old movies in search of celluloid treasure, please do like and subscribe and comment. And of course, follow us on your podcast purveyor of choice. Tell us what you think we got wrong, and clue us in on a few titles you'd like us to see cover on future episodes. As long as they're available for free or other free streaming platforms, I've noticed a few others have popped up lately, and we will be linking to those as needed, because this adventure comes with no strings attached. We have something coming up next week. It's a first for us, actually, in terms of genre. Why don't you tell the people about it?
I'm actually kind of excited about this.
Oh, me too.
Well, I think when I was younger, I think I've seen this one. This is what Tubi says. After learning that his beloved instructor was murdered, Chen Zhen looks to avenge his death by fighting the greatest assassins from a rival school. This is starring Bruce Lee, Nora Miao, James Tien, Maria Yi, and it's directed by Wei Lo. This is 1972, Fist of Fury.
Fists of Fury. The movie that I think, if I'm not mistaken, the movie that put Bruce Lee on the map, and made him the star that he was and kind of launched all the kind of like at least in the West, kind of launched interest in the kung fu as a genre in the West. This is clearly one of those influential films I've been missing out on, and I've watched other kung fu films, that in sometimes just for the goofiness of it, because sometimes it can be really goofy, or really just out there. And I love that about kung fu movies is that they totally go out on a limb, and it's like I never would have imagined that. It's like, so anyway, yeah. So we're looking forward to Fists of Fury. Do join us for that, folks. This is our first time in Movie Bones doing a kung fu movie. Yeah, do join us for that. And I can't think of anything else to say for this week, Ryan. But so we'll see you guys out there. And Ryan, I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
All right, folks. Bye-bye. And that's going to be where I put the stinger.
Poor baby.